Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. It's just Marco here once again, and I am here with Yurrrr Honor Season 2, Episode 2 review. I don't know what else would it be. I would never do a recap, so I guess review is kind of self-explanatory. So anyways, this episode, I really liked it once again. It started off, the first half is kind of slow, but it feels like a lot of setup. It feels like a lot of moving characters into positions so that they can start to do these stories, and a lot of character stuff. You know, you gotta have setup episodes in order to have the more explosive ones later on. You know, you can't just have action, action, action. You know, you got to slow down once in a while. And I think that this would be a great example of slowing down in order to tell a better story. Because as the episode went on, you just see that, like, oh wow, there's a lot of problems, there's a lot of stories going on here, and all of them are pretty much equally entertaining, and I can't wait to see what happens with them. Whereas with other certain shows recently, they're slow for no reason, and then the plots that they're slowing down, you know, they never end up anywhere interesting. So I really have faith that the show, it has some great things in store, because I don't know, I really enjoyed most of this episode. I felt like, once again, this would be another A episode. At the first half, I was going to give it a C. I will admit, like, a lot of the first half is just going around here. Just very, very slow, very, it's almost like they're trying to continue the tone of the last episode, but the only problem with that is that it was a week, and so it was a week in between episodes for most people. So you're not going to have that same feeling unless you're, like, binge watching. So let's get into the details of the plot now. Basically, this will be spoilers. So once again, I give it an A, another A, which hopefully I love the third episode, because the first season, it was like, oh my god, this is an amazing show. And then I got to the third episode and I was like, no! So first off, Michael is staying with Elizabeth, which I thought was great because we got to see more of her, and she already had some snarky moments where she's she's roasting him, and in particular there's a hilarious part where she sees that he's sleeping in her food pantry because it reminds him of, like, a prison cell, and he's just so emo. I mean, in the first season, Adam was the emo biatch, but now Michael has seemingly turned into this emo teenage character. Even though he's in his, like, 60s, he's reverted back to being an emo teenager. And it actually works because Bryan Cranston is such a good actor that it's like, you know, I don't think that he can be in something where he would be unconvincing as whatever he's trying to play. Like, I think even though he's he's just, I mean, he's not only sleeping in the food pantry, but they show his wrist, and he's got, like, cutting marks on his wrist, and then he's thinking about hanging himself, and it's like, God, he is just becoming so emo. It's like I'm half expecting him to go to Hot Topic and start dressing in all black and wearing fucking Edward Scissorhands t-shirts and just start fully embracing the emo side of Michael. I mean, it's pretty funny, honestly, like, it when you look at it that way. But he was been sleeping in her pantry, And first off, she's like, "Where are you sneaking off to, you little shithead?" I'm the adult in this house. And he's like, "I'm going to the cemetery every morning." And she's like, "You know what, Michael? You see this plant right here? I take it to the cemetery once a year because I'm just that cool. I don't need to go there every day like you. You don't need to go there every day. It's not going to bring them back. It's not going to change anything." And she just, every single thing you could possibly come up with, she is going to roast you. She's going to destroy you. And she's just so good at it, too. And then she talks about, "You're sleeping next to my biscuit mix. And I don't want anyone to know about my fucking biscuit mix. You got that, Michael?" And he's like, "Yeah." And it was funny because out of all the characters in this episode, I felt the most intimidated when Elizabeth is talking about her biscuit mix. Like, they have these moments where these characters and with the Desire Gang, they're trying to be intimidating, and they're trying to make these deals, and they really aren't very scary. But then Elizabeth, when she's talking about her biscuit mix, I was like, "Oh shit, she is gonna shank Michael in the pantry if he tells anyone." So I can't wait to see more of her. I hope that they don't just kind of throw her character away again, because I really felt like if I were to criticize season 1, once again, one of the things was that Elizabeth was kind of wasted, and she is a great character. I mean, these are all great characters. Every single one of them, they come onto screen for a scene, and it's like, oh wow, I'm really excited to see what happens with them. No matter how small it is, it's like they're all such great characters that you could watch them forever. And forever is until they die on screen, like Adam. Speaking of Adam, we do get to see the cemetery again, and I gotta say, there's lots of beautiful shots in this episode. There's this one shot where he's at the cemetery, and it looks like the early morning, and it's a really pretty shot, and it looked really good. And I think that the people who actually shoot the show, they're really good at the cinematography and everything. Like, I don't really notice that type of stuff unless it's like really good. And I would say that this is an example of really, really good cinematography. So, like, no matter how basic the story is, you can count on the cinematography to be next level awesomeness. And speaking of basic story, probably the weakest part of this episode is that, as I said, it's set up, it's just, going through the motions. The Desire Gang is having some issues, and they're going through this drama with the product that they've been selling, and so you have Little Mo, and he's going around trying to fix that, and there's this whole sequence at like a baseball diamond or a batting cage, whatever. The kid's practicing. I can't. Oh shit. I really hope it's a diamond. I hope that's what it was, because like, I know that there are some people, and they're just waiting. Like, any single thing that I say that's like a mistake, they're gonna be like, "Oh my god, no, you got it totally wrong." And it's like, I don't really care. As a kid's practicing baseball, they're doing drug deals and stuff. But that was kind of the weakest part of the episode. It was kind of slow, and it was kind of like, okay, I hope that this goes somewhere interesting. But all the actors are great once again. And then we get to see Eugene, and now this is the funniest part of the episode. Eugene, Eugene is in school, and he is now called Justin, which, I'm never going to call him Justin. He is Eugene for eternity. And he's sitting in class, and I was like, okay, what's going to happen here? He's just so under the radar, this fugitive kid, and he's in school now, and just like he's living life, nothing bad is going to happen. He's just going to, he's going to go unnoticed. He's going to go undiscovered. They're never going to find him. It's just kind of ridiculous. But it's funny at the same time, because it's like, I guess Eugene, that they're implying here to me that Eugene is on the level of, like, what was that guy with the briefcase? The mystery guy who jumped out of the plane? Like, what was that guy? Mystery D.B. Cooper. Yeah, I don't even. They're basically implying here that Eugene, his skills as a fugitive, his skills as somebody like avoiding the law, are on the level of D.B. Cooper, because like just nobody even cares like where he is or anything. It's just like in season 1 when he's like running around the city and like without any sort of intervention except from Lee, and Lee is still missing. She's I don't know, if Michael turned emo, then she's probably already like dead in a bathtub somewhere after turning emo as well, or something like that. That would be pretty funny if they showed some like flashback episode and it just shows her transformation into the emo cult. But Eugene is sitting in class and the security guard asks for him, and it's so funny because I was like, oh shit, what's he in trouble for now? Did he like, what did he do now? And he goes to the principal's office, and I was so not expecting them to do this. I mean, for him to do this, his character. But guys, Eugene is drawing explicitly detailed pictures of his crimes. His crimes in terms of Adam. He's also drawing the tragedy that happened with his family, where his house was exploded in front of him. But the funny thing is that he drew a picture of himself shooting Adam, and Adam's like in a pool of blood and his father's holding him. He drew a picture. Like, it was so funny that like I started laughing to the point where I was gonna roll on the floor. Like, it was so hilarious. He drew this picture. He's basically like, look at me, I'm Eugene and I killed Adam Desiato. And nobody notices for some reason, and the principal's like, Eugene, we are very worried about these drawings. We're not worried because, this is connected to a very important murder that happened, unsolved murder, with a teenage kid who ran away somewhere and he looks exactly like you. No, we are concerned because your drawing has violence in it. And we don't want we don't want you to be a danger to the other students. And it's like, it was so funny because that was very relatable, because I had the same types of things happen. In fact, with me, it was even worse because the teacher who had criticized the drawing, and the drawings that I did didn't even have any violence or anything. They would just be like monsters or like slashers from movies. Well, she did it where she would not allow me to draw any drawings like that ever again, or write any horror stories or anything. And so she would go around like watching, like when I was drawing, and if I was drawing something horror related, she would take it and she would throw it in the trash, or she would take it and she would yell and complain. And so it was pretty a relatable moment, but it wasn't like that where he's like, "Look at me, I did this crime here." Like this is I was at this hotel and I had this gun and it just magically went inside Adam and then Adam fell to the floor and then blood squirted out of him and it was really fun. And I can't remember. I need to go back and watch because I can't remember like what expression he gave himself. Like, like did he give himself a smiley face? Like, hee hee hee! I killed Adam. I killed that fucking annoying character. Like it was just so funny. I was taken back. I was like, what the hell? He just. I guess the thing that you could say is that he's expressing his guilt in some way, and so I kind of like that a little bit, and so I kind of give it a pass. Otherwise, this is another, like, one of the stupidest decisions I've ever seen by a character in a TV show, especially since he looks like he's like 18, and they're having this story here with like a kid drawing their crimes. It feels like a story that for like a 10-year-old. And, he doesn't look like a 10-year-old or act like one either. And so I'm curious to see where that goes. I really liked the actors playing his new quote-unquote guardian. And he has to actually get a slip signed by her because of these drawings, these confession drawings. But I'd be really curious to see what other people thought about that, because I thought it was hilarious. That was like one of the funniest things I've ever seen. So Michael also, and I am reading off of a recap just because there's so many different things that happen, and I really don't like when I miss something. When I do a review and then afterwards I'm like, oh no, I missed that one thing that happened. So I am trying to like go through with the help of this recap, even though I just watched it too. And then Michael tries to warn Charlie and security does not allow him in. And then we get a little bit of Olivia and she warns him not to tell him anything or warn him or anything. And what I loved was he and Charlie had a scene together when he's at his new job as like this meat delivery guy. And I can't wait to see more of Charlie and Michael together as well, because they really have a good chemistry together. Like they have a great dynamic, and so I can't wait to see the backstabbing between them. I can't wait to see like what types of things Michael's gonna have to do to hurt him, and then like is he gonna find out and then start trying to F with Michael? Like I really can't wait to see more of that storyline. Because Charlie, to be honest, I don't even have to look at the recap for this, but Charlie is unraveling to me. Like in the first season, he was like a good guy, but he had all these seedy hints that he was involved in something deeper, and that he might have even been involved with the killing of Michael's wife. Who knows? And that's another big question. The killing of Michael's wife. I really can't wait to see them go into that story more if they do, because that was one of the main questions that I had at the end of season 1, was that, what did happen with Michael's wife? Why did they have all this hinting at a story with that? And then it's just like, let's drop that. It's a big open-ended question. But Charlie now, he's just full on. You're seeing all of this corruption with him, and you're just seeing that he does a lot more work on the bad side. Or not like on the bad side, like he's doing a lot more he doesn't really do a lot of work in term that we can see in terms of like legal stuff. Like he's doing a lot of shady business dealings with people in the Desire Gang, and it just seems he'll do anything to get a vote and win an election. And so I wonder if he is really gonna be, because I was saying in the first episode review that this Olivia character was going to be a villain, but now I'm kind of thinking that maybe Charlie could be a villain of this season, because the way that we're finding out more and more about him, it's like, what else do we not know about him, and what else does he do that we don't know that he does, Because another story that goes on in this episode is that I'm like, another story that goes on though is that Big Mo, she wants to buy this club because her love interest, this singer, she sings there, and is she a stripper? No, she's not a stripper. She wants to buy the club just so that she can be with her, and also so that the Desire Gang can get more territory, probably. And Charlie is coming in, and he's doing something very funny that I wouldn't have expected for a 2023 show to add into their show, where he's using wokeness to the Desire Gang's advantage. And he's like, I'm trying to help the city by having this campaign about black business owners. And, Big Mo, she is a black business owner. And she really deserves to be able to buy this building. And the guy just doesn't want to sell it to her at all. And so I really like that, because I didn't expect that. It's another thing that I didn't expect, just like with the drawings. I really like in shows nowadays when I don't expect something, because I'm finding a lot more. There's a lot of shows where everything that they do is expected. The only things that they do that aren't expected are the stupid things. Like when they make really bad plot decisions, and I'm just like, ugh, why did they do that? Why did they do that? But all the main plot, I just find a lot of it is very predictable. However, with this, there were some unpredictable moments that I was like, oh, I didn't expect that. So we had that story, and then Michael also, he's just kind of walking around somberly, and he's going places and things and working at this meat place. And he ends up talking to Fia! And we get to see Fia a couple of times in this episode, which I got really excited about. And she's like, I really want to I want to know things, like, about Adam. Like, like, what emo bands did he like? And, like, are there any more zombie dance moves that he can teach me? And, like, what happens when you die and stuff? And Michael's like, I don't know. I don't know about God and all that crap. But I think that good people go to where they deserve and stuff, because that's the nice thing to say. And she's like, really? And he's like, yeah. So I gotta go. Bye. And, he's still playing hard to get with her. He's still being emo Michael. And so he just runs off with his meat, because he's got to deliver. He takes his meat and he wheels his meat away, because he's there to deliver meat to the Baxter Hotel. And Fia is now staying in the hotel because she wants to get away from her evil parents. Which, once again, I thought it was funny, because once again, Jimmy, it felt like he's the one who's most affected by Adam's death out of everyone. Like, I love how silent he is, and I love how in the first season, he was very just temperamental the whole season, But in this season, he's a lot more somber, like Michael, in a way. He really does seem the most sad, though, because I don't think because he liked Adam, but I think because his daughter liked Adam. And so he doesn't want to lose her, and he doesn't want anything to happen to her, and he doesn't like when she loses someone. So I really like Jimmy this season so far. He's becoming a really good character again. I just hope that he does something interesting besides stabbing a grapefruit. You know what I mean? So Gina, also Jimmy's wife, she is going to therapy sessions, and she's doing the classic TV thing or predictable thing where you go to a therapy session and then you reject the therapist and you're like, no, I'm never going to talk ever about any issues ever. But then she, at the end of the episode, she's like, oh, actually, I made a realization. I'm really sad, but I'm also really angry, and so I'm just going to be angry forever, and I'm just going to start wrecking shit. And it also feels like she is going to do some very bad stuff. I mean, from that scene alone, and almost all that she had to say was like, I am vengeance. And I would have been like, uh-oh. She's going to start killing people. She is going to start ordering some, she's not going to walk around somberly like Jimmy. She's going to do some things behind his back, just like he, I guess, is sleeping with hookers now behind her back. Or was that a hooker? Because that scene was so dark, and I was like, is that a hooker? Or is that, is that his wife? Like, I genuinely couldn't tell if that was a hooker or not. But I feel like they're going to have a lot of complications with their relationship. They're not just going to be the perfect crime couple again. She's going to do a lot of things this season, I feel, which is a very... That's like a shallow analysis and prediction. It's like, I think she's going to do she's going to do stuff this season. It's like, okay. I'm just trying to think of what else to talk about, though. Oh, yeah, and then there's the scene where Michael is on the sidewalk, and Detective Nancy, she just straight up pulls up on him like a teenager, and she pulls up and she's like, you know what, Michael? You know what? You thought you were safe? Well, after this little game is over, I'm going to be a nightmare in your world, and I'm never going to stop until you go back to prison because you used me and stuff. So I don't know what she's going to do the rest of the season. It was a very random scene, too. Like, she just pulls up on him, and then the scene is over with. So I'm trying to think of anything else. I don't think so. Well, then, of course, there's a little bit with Fia, and she doesn't want to talk to Jimmy, and her mom confronts her, but that's just kind of... Yeah. Oh, yeah, and then Michael finally meets with Fia again, and she finally introduces him to her son, the Rosemary's Baby, and she has decided to name him Rocco Adam Baxter. And that was the last scene of the episode, and all I could think of was like, you guys just heard how hard that was for me to do that review. It's just because very little happened, really, but you could look at it as like a lot was happening, I guess. And so it's kind of hard to like go through that, like, oh, these people talked, and then these people talked, and these people talked. Like, not a lot of like major events happened this episode. But once again, I really trust the show for them to take us to a place where some bigger things will happen. The main thing that I can't wait to see, though, is with Charlie and Michael, because I really want to see what they have to what each of them are going to have to do to try to achieve their goal. And I can't wait to finally see Michael back in action in some way. Most of the entertainment in the first season came from Michael having to do stuff that he didn't want to do. Like him covering up evidence, getting rid of this, getting rid of footage, setting up the courtroom and stuff, rigging the jury, and all these shady things that he was being forced to do. That was the main draw of the first season. And so far in season 2, we're now 2 whole episodes in, and the main thing that Michael has basically been forced to do so far is just talk to people, I guess. Like, talk to Fia, which sounds like a good time to me. He has to work as a meat deliverer. Oh, yeah, and then another thing that I'd like to talk about, because I know a lot of this review has sounded really bad, probably. I from the sound of it, I didn't like this review myself. Like, I would rate the episode an A, but I would rate my review of this episode like a D, like a D+, because it's hard when you have a episode like this where nothing really happens. So you're kind of struggling, like, what do I say about that? But the one thing that I like, though, is that it feels very balanced with the way that they're treating Michael. Like, on one hand, characters are berating him, they're Kim Wexlering him and stuff like that. But then on the other hand, it seems like other characters are showing him the good things that have happened and, just life in general. Like, he's seeing, even though he did all these bad things, when he goes to this meat place, the butcher shop, when he goes to the butcher shop, one of the butchers is like, Michael, you kept me out of prison, and I was supposed to go to prison for like 14 years or 40 years or something for drug possession or something, and you kept me out of prison. And you can see that Michael has done a lot of good things, and that his impact on the world isn't negative like certain characters would want you to believe. And so I really like that, the fact that not everyone just hates him, not everyone is just going to treat him terribly, not everyone is just going to pretend like he's the devil, because they were kind of doing that in episode 10 of last season, and it was just kind of, to me, like a easy sympathy card pulling, so that then the death of Adam would be a lot more harsher and negative, but this way it's more real. Like, I think Elizabeth is on his side, that butcher guy is on his side, Charlie's on his side, but of course not really now. Jimmy is on his side, I guess. So he needs to get some friends, Michael. He needs to stop being this emo, and he needs to get some people on his side so that he can fight against these really powerful enemies. I mean, I really don't know. I know that people say this a lot when it comes to, like, Bryan Cranston's dramatic characters, but I really don't know how he's going to survive. I really don't know how he's going to get out of this. You have all these violent characters, and in real life, they probably all just end up killing each other, and they'd all be dead. So I don't know how Michael's going to get out of it, but I do think that now that he sees that Adam has a son, I think that he's going to have a whole new motivation, and hopefully he's going to snap out of this hot topic fad that he's going through. So anyways, I really enjoyed most of this episode overall. I thought that it was a entertaining, damn good television episode. And so, yeah, please like this D+ review of an A episode, Yurrrr Honor. And then please comment and tell me what you thought of the episode and then what you think is going to happen in the rest of the season. And then please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more honest reviews of Yurrrr Honor. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.